Hello, welcome to Central Florida. We're still having a great winter here. It's supposed to be up to about 88 degrees today. I've been working in the garden a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to try something a little different today with Musings from Central Florida. I'm going to start a mystery story series. The first one is going to feature a fictional detective called Mel Frank. And this is a first in the series of stories. Detective Mel Frank sat in his office at a metropolitan police station, sipping his coffee and scrolling through the latest cases files on his computer. He had been with the department for over 20 years, but the thrill of solving a difficult case never grew old. Just then the phone rang. It was his partner, John Sampson. "Hey, Mel, we've got a missing person here. A young woman named Sarah Jameson disappeared last night." "Okay, John. What do we know so far?" "She was just seen leaving her office around 6 p.m. Her coworkers said she seemed upset, but they didn't know why. She didn't show up for work this morning, and her husband reported her missing." "Got it. I'll head over to her office and start the investigation. Meet me there in an hour." Mel quickly gathered his things and made his way to Sarah Johnson's office. As he walked through the door, he could feel the tension in the air. The employees were all whispering to each other, their eyes darting nervously around the room. Mel approached the receptionist, a young woman named Emily. "Hi, I'm Detective Mel Frank. I'm here to investigate the disappearance of Sarah Johnson." Emily looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. "Oh, thank goodness. We're all so worried about her. She's such a sweet girl. Can you tell me what you know?" Emily took a deep breath and began to speak. "Sarah left the office around 6 p.m. yesterday. She seemed upset, but she didn't say why. We thought maybe she had a fight with her husband or something. But when she didn't show up for work this morning, we knew something was wrong." "Did anyone see her leaving the building?" "No, not that we know of. But we have security cameras in the lobby. Maybe they caught something." Mel made his way to the security room and asked to see the footage from the previous night. The security guard pulled up the footage and began to fast forward through the hours. At 6:03, Sarah Jameson walked out of the building, her head down and her shoulders slumped. She looked like she was in a hurry. Mel watched the footage over and over again, trying to spot any clues, but there was nothing. No one followed her out of the building, and there were no cars waiting for her. He decided to go back to Sarah's home and talk to her husband. Maybe he knew something that could help. When Mel arrived at Jameson's home, he found Sarah's husband, Tom, pacing back and forth in the living room. "Detective Frank, thank God you're here. Have you found anything? Do you know where she is?" asked Sarah's husband. Tom shook his head. "Next time, Tom." "Not yet, Tom, but we're doing everything we can to find her. Can you tell me anything about Sarah's state of mind? Was she upset about anything?" Tom rubbed his forehead, eyes closed. "I don't know, Detective. We had a fight the night before she disappeared. It was stupid, really. I don't even remember what it was about, but she was upset. She stormed out of the house and didn't come back until late. I thought we would work things out, but I guess not." "Did she say where she was going?" "No, she just left." Mel looked into the room, trying to spot clues, but there was nothing. No signs of a struggle, no blood, no weapons. He decided to go back to the office and talk to Sarah's coworkers again. Maybe someone had seen something that they didn't think was important at the time. As Mel made his way back to the office, he couldn't help but feel that there was something that had to be a clue, something that would lead him to Sarah's whereabouts. When he arrived, He asked to speak to each of Sarah's co-workers individually, hoping that one of them would have remembered something that would help. He started with Emily, the receptionist. Emily, is there anything else you can tell me about Sarah? Anything unusual at all? Emily thought for a moment before answering. Well, now that you mention it, she did receive a strange package in the mail a few days ago. She seemed very freaked out about it. What was in the package? I don't know. She didn't show me, but she kept looking over her shoulder after she got it, like she was afraid someone was following her. Mel, interested and piqued. This could be a lead. Did anyone else know about this package? Said Mel. Emily shook her head. I don't think so. She didn't tell anyone else about it. Mel thanked Emily and moved on to the next coworker, hoping to find more information. As he spoke to each of them, he noticed that they all seemed nervous and on edge, like they were hiding some of them. One of them, a man named Peter, seemed particularly evasive. Peter, can you tell me anything about Sarah's disappearance? Did you notice anything unusual? Peter shifted in his seat, avoiding Mel's gaze. I don't know. I didn't really see anything. Peter, I need you to be honest with me. If you know something, anything at all, it could be the key to finding Sarah. Peter let out a sigh before speaking. Okay, fine. I did see something, but I didn't think it was important at the time. What did you see? I saw Sarah leaving the office with a man. I didn't recognize him. They got into a car and drove away. Mel's heart skipped a beat. That was the lead he had been looking for. Peter, can you describe the man? What kind of a car were they driving? Peter gave a detailed description of the man in the car he was driving. Mel thanked him and rushed out of the office. He knew he had to find this man and bring him in for questioning. As he made his way to his car, his phone rang. It was John. Mel, we just found something. Sarah's car was abandoned on the side of the road about an hour outside the city. It looks like it was abandoned in a hurry. Okay, John, I'm on my way. I think I'll have a lead on a possible suspect. Meet me at Sarah's car. When Mel arrived on the scene, he saw that John was already there and several other officers. John, what do we know? Well, John said, we found the car about an hour ago. It was abandoned with the keys still in the ignition. There's no sign of Sarah. Mel nodded. I think I know who took her. I need you to run a background check on a man named... He gave John a description that Peter gave him. John nodded. I'll get something on it in the meantime. We will start a search for Sarah. She could be in serious danger. Mel knew John was right. They needed to find Sarah as soon as possible. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Mel and John coordinated a search party, combining the area around Sarah's abandoned car. They searched for hours, but found no sign of her. As the sun began to set, Mel's phone rang. It was John. Mel, we found something. We found Sarah's body. Mel's heart sank. He knew that was a possibility, but it still hit him hard. Where is she? She was buried in a shallow grave in the woods about a mile from where her car was abandoned. It looks like she was killed shortly after she was abducted. Mel took a deep breath, looking to keep his emotions in check. Okay, John, I'm on my way. I'll be there as soon as I can. As he hung up the phone, Mel felt a mix of anger and sadness. Someone had taken Sarah's life, and he was going to do everything in his power to find out who was responsible. When he arrived at the scene, he saw the area had been cordoned off. John was waiting for him, looking very grim. Mel, we found some evidence near the body. It looks like the killer dropped something. What did you find? John held out a plastic bag containing a piece of cloth. It's a piece of fabric. It looks like it was torn off with something. We're running some lab tests to see if there's any DNA or other evidence on it. Mel nodded, taking the bag. Okay, let's get this to the lab. In the meantime, I want to talk to everyone who was at the office yesterday. Someone must know something. Over the next few days, Mel and his team interviewed everyone who had been in the office and on the day of Sarah's disappearance. They pored over security footage, trying to identify the man Peter had seen with Sarah. Finally, they got a break. One of Sarah's coworkers, a woman named Melissa, came forward with information. I didn't think it was important at first, but I saw arguing with someone in the parking lot yesterday. It was the man Peter described. He was yelling at her and she screamed. Mel's heart raced. That was it. They finally had a lead on the killer. He and John quickly put together a plan to apprehend the suspect. They staked out the man's apartment, waiting for him to return home. Finally, late in the evening, they saw him pull into the parking lot. Mel and John approached it quietly with guns. Police, don't move. The man turned to face him, his eyes wide with fear. What's going on? What did I do? Mel didn't waste any time. You're under the arrest for the abduction and murder of Sarah Jameson. The man tried to run, but Mel and John quickly subdued him. In the end, the man, whose name was Marcus, confessed to the crime. He had been obsessed with Sarah for months, and when he saw her arguing with someone in the parking lot, he saw his chance. He followed her, abducted her, and killed her in a fit of rage. It was a senseless, brutal crime. But thanks to Mel and his team, justice was served. As Mel walked out of the courtroom after Marcus was sentenced to life in prison, he couldn't help but think of Sarah and her family. They would never get her back, but at least they could find out some solace in the fact that the killer was behind bars. Mel knew there would be other cases, other victims, but he also knew that he and his team would be there fighting for justice and bringing killers to justice. It was a never-ending battle, but one that Mel was willing to fight until the very end. Well, that's all it for the day. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next week.